the Straight Outta BS podcast. I'm Jordan, and go ahead and introduce yourself and where you went when.
My name is Sarah Rodgers. I was Sarah St. Cyr at the time. I'm married now. I went to Carolina Springs Academy in South Carolina for a year, and then Dundee Ranch Academy for a year. So I was in for about 2 years. When I went to Carolina Springs, there wasn't the Dundee Ranch in Costa Rica, and while I was there, they had bought the place and started it up. So they had a bunch of upper levels go there to kind of get everything started up. I guess, from what I heard, I don't know if I'm correct, but
Hold on 1 second. I'm closing my window. There's some stuff going on outside. There's a Pride festival going on right now. So.
Oh, yeah, I can understand that. So they had promised all these hotel workers jobs at the hotel that they bought out. So they had to basically teach them all how to deal with troubled teens, American teens, which was crazy.
Yeah.
So a bunch of us went over there to kind of teach them the rules. We learned a little bit of Spanish, and we went over there to teach them the rules. So that's why I've gone to 2 different programs.
Okay, and I'm not familiar with either of those programs. Those are new to me. I went to Spring Creek Lodge. So explain a little, like, what was your first day like? Because you said you went to which one did you go to first?
Carolina Springs Academy.
Okay. In South Carolina. Okay. Walk us through your first day there, and like, was it? Because I'm curious, like, did they have the points and levels there? Did they have the seminars?
So I've watched a few of these podcasts, and they're a lot similar. They have levels 1 through 6. They did the seminars. They did the corrections and everything like that. So my mom, I was 13. I was the youngest person there, which was terrifying to me. Everybody there was 16 and up.
Yeah.
And had been through a lot. I actually watched one the other day where someone had got sent there for depression. That's what happened to me. I hadn't done anything. I was, like I said, I was 13. Not a lot of people are drinking and drugging and doing any of that at 13. So my mom thought I was headed down the same path my sister was. My sister had already been doing all that stuff. And my mom told me I was going to Disneyland. So
did she trick you? Did she take you up there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So she tricked you. Okay.
Yeah, she told me we were going to Disneyland, and we stopped in South Carolina. And I was 13, but I was like, isn't Disneyland in Florida?
Yeah.
And she said, we're going to drive the rest of the way. So we drive, and then we end up at this, we go down this long driveway, and I remember this building, and this lady dressed in all yellow, because the lower levels had to wear bright orange and bright yellow.
Okay.
And they could get caught. And so I remember I thought it was very strange that she was wearing yellow, bright yellow, head to toe, and flip-flops. And she said, I'm going to be your buddy. And I had no idea what that meant. I thought they were going to escort us to Florida. And so when we went into the building, this very tall black guy was talking about, hey, this is where they go to school. And then that's when I knew there was something wrong. And I looked at my mom and I said, what was going on? And immediately 2 larger men grabbed me and started, I was kicking and screaming because I didn't know what was going on. And they brought me down to the dorms.
Okay.
And then my mom came down there, and I just basically tried to beg her not to leave me there. And then she was gone.
Yeah.
So it was pretty. I remember for the first 3 months, I cried I don't know if anybody else experienced this, but I would have dreams of it, that I was home, that like this was a dream, and I'd wake up and I'd be there.
Yeah, that happened to me a couple times.
Yeah. And then we'd have to, wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and count down. We had to count, make sure everybody was there. Some of the rules were just so ridiculous, like so we had laundry baskets that we kept all our stuff under, that we would scoot under the beds, and you'd have to lay a towel over the laundry basket, and it had to be tucked in so they couldn't see any of your stuff. And then they would check under your bunk beds, and if even like this much was hanging down, you would get a correction. And I remember we used to, our exercise was Richard Simmons. We would dance to Richard Simmons videos, and it was like really mortifying to dance to Richard Simmons.
Yeah.
And for me, it was really tough, particularly because we would get in these circles and we would have these like get to know each other like things. And one of the questions,
group?
yeah,
Groups. Yeah.
yeah, and one of the questions, so you'd say like, hey,
no.
One of the questions would be like, what's your favorite clothing store? And everybody would go around, what's your favorite clothes? But one of the famous questions was, what are you here for? And everybody was like, sex, drugs, this. And I said, I don't know. And I'd get made fun of for that. They would make fun. They would be like, you're lying, you're this, you're that. And I'm like, I don't know. I've never, like, have you ever smoked a cigarette? Have you ever tried drugs? Have you ever had sex? Have you ever done any of that? And I was like, no, I don't know why I'm here. And that was hard too, because they wanted me to deal with my issues.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what my issues were. I was, like I said, I was 13. I got kicked out of my first Discovery because I didn't. I mean, it was like.
Is that the first seminar there? Discovery? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they came every 3 months. So if you got kicked out, it was really depressing because you knew you were 3 months now behind.
Yeah, it sets you back.
Yeah. And they told my mom it would take 9 months for me to graduate. I was there for 2 years. They said, that if they do everything that they're supposed to do, it's going to take 9 months and they'll be home.
I was there 22 months. How was it?
Yeah. I was there for 2 years and I didn't make level 3. You could have one phone call with your parents for 15 minutes a month at level 3.
How about when you first got there? How long was it before you could talk to your parents the first time on the phone?
7 months.
7 months?
Yeah, because you have to be level 3.
Oh, okay.
So you have to be level 3 to talk to your parents on the phone, and you get one phone call monitored for 15 minutes a month.
Damn, I think they did like 60 or 90 days at Spring Creek.
No, you have to be level 3 to talk to you're
That's
only
crazy.
getting letters until, so it was 7 months before I ever talked to my mom on the phone. And it was 14 months before I saw my mom. And the reason I saw my mom was not because I made level 3. It was because I had been there too long. They had this seminar where the parents would come, and they told me my mom wasn't. I talked to my mom on the phone, and because I was level 3 at that point, and she told me.
Was this PC1? Was this PC1, the first parent-child seminar?
I think it was. I can't remember, but it was like this. Like, I had never seen it before. They just said that like a bunch of parents were going to come, and they told me mine was not one of them. And I remember when they called my name, because they were calling all these girls' names, and they called my name, and I got so excited. It was 14 months before that actually happened. And I remember the whole time she was there, I begged her to take me home too. I was like, this place is awful. And I mean, I'm not.
Wait, so she came there? Because it sounded at first like she didn't show up.
She told me she wasn't.
Oh, okay. She told you. Okay.
She wasn't.
Okay.
And I guess they did that because they didn't want. I don't know why they did
that. It's a mind fuck. It's just with your head.
And you know what else I thought was a real big mind fuck was that they would, when someone got pulled, it was like a huge secret. It was like really, really behind the scenes. Like no one was supposed to know about it. They would just be there one day and they
don't want people rioting or like just like rioting or like.
That happened after I left. It happened 2 months after I left.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just,
yeah. But I always thought it was real strange. Like you'd be really close with somebody, they'd be there one day, and then the next day you'd be like, "Wait, where did Jessica go?" And like no one would tell you what happened, but she got pulled. And I remember just thinking like, I mean, 90% of the kids got pulled. Not a whole lot were actually graduated. And so
I want to keep that shit secret. I don't think they want people knowing that people are getting pulled. Because then everybody would be acting up. You know what I mean? And
because then they'd be like, exactly. And that's what really like. So when the opportunity arose to go to Costa Rica, I was like, fuck it. If I'm going to be in prison, I'm going to be in prison in paradise. I'm going to go to Costa Rica. So they taught me a little bit of Spanish, and it was crazy because this was only my second plane.
This was 14 months in, right?
Yes. I'm 14 years old now.
Okay.
So they come, they put me on a plane by myself. They're just like, okay, there you go. And I get to coast. Well, first of all, I I lost my passport in Dallas, and they wouldn't let me go home. They couldn't let me go to Costa Rica, and they wouldn't take me back to South Carolina. So I was stuck in Dallas for like hours with nobody, 14 years old. And finally, they came and got me, and they were like, we found your passport at McDonald's or something. And they sent me to Costa Rica. And I get there, and this guy has my name misspelled because he doesn't speak a lick of English, not any of it. And he's trying to communicate with me. I'm trying to communicate with him. And he's like asking me if I need to go to the bathroom, but I don't understand it. So I get in the car, and it was like an hour drive, I think, to that. And looking back, I'm 35 now. Looking back, a 14-year-old in a foreign country getting in a car with some guy she can't understand was nuts. Was
Yeah.
absolutely crazy for an hour drive, and just trusting that
Yeah.
I'm going to the program,
Yeah.
going to somewhere. But so we get there, and they start rummaging through my stuff to make sure I didn't bring any contraband or whatever. And I can't understand. And I thought for a second, like, what did I get myself into? This place is crazy. Because now you've got all the stuff you're dealing with, plus a language barrier.
Yeah.
So
And you're in another, not
another,
another country. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. So running away wasn't an option.
Yeah.
I thought about running away in Costa Rica because what was the worst part about in South Carolina was worksheets.
Okay.
They were these hot boxes with no AC, no fan, no nothing. And if you got in trouble, you would just write all day long in like 100-degree weather. It was awful.
Did they have anything like intervention or like solitary confinement? So anything like that there? Like the next step, that would be like the next step up from worksheets or study, what you were just
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So that happened in South Carolina, but I never went there. So
Okay.
it was just like stories, and you never know if they were telling the truth or not. But I did. But in Costa Rica, the if you got a category 3 or up, you I forget what they called it, but you went in this room and it was open. And when you would walk by, you could see them in there. And I've seen people hogtied in there. And I knew I didn't want to get a category 3 or up. And so the Jamaicans from Jamaica actually came to help bring up Costa Rica too. And we all knew that they were strict. We
Yeah.
all knew you didn't want, and they were mean. They were
Yeah.
really mean. And actually, my family mom
Most of
was,
them probably hate Americans, first of all.
I
Like,
mean, I don't know, but they were like, well, everyone knew that Mexico and Jamaica were hardcore. I
yeah,
mean, it was just well known that you don't want to end up there in
yeah.
Mexico or Jamaica. So when the Jamaicans came in to help bring up that program, we're like, oh shit. And it was crazy. I mean, our school was out on a moat, like a man-made moat surrounded by water, and there was like a crocodile that lived in there.
Oh wow.
And yeah, it would be completely dry, and then the rainy season, like over a weekend, the whole thing would fill up, and there'd just be a crocodile swimming around in there. I almost fell in a couple times because you have these like bamboo railings, and I was running down one time, and like one of the railings had fallen off, and I didn't realize it. It was at night. And
Yeah.
then one time we'd have to go do school under the mango trees when they would have seminars, because
Yeah.
they had seminars at the school. So one time we were just sitting there waiting in line to go, because we would go do, like, after the seminars, we would go do like a congratulations party for the people who graduated. Like the whole place would do it. And we're just standing there, and then we hear this lady just start screaming, Rapido, Rapido, Vamonos, Vamonos. And we look back, and the crocodile's coming up one of the ladders.
Oh
And I
wow.
was like, I just remember looking back after it's like, who's sending their kid out here? This is crazy. And I don't know. I remember when I first got out of the program, like they told you not to talk about what happens in the seminars. Like that was like well known. You do not talk about what happens in there. But what happens in
Yeah.
there is nuts. I've told my husband
Yeah.
I was like, I was made to beat a floor with a towel that was wrapped up in duct tape for no reason, because I had issues and I don't know if you experience that in focus.
I mean, I went through all the seminars. I definitely experienced probably similar stuff.
Yeah, so they
Maybe not the exact same, but definitely similar.
Oh yeah, it was like the second night of focus, and they're like, now close your eyes, and you're like,
What, the lifeboat? Lifeboat?
I don't know, I can't remember, but I remember them telling me to reach out, and I'm like opened my eyes. I was like, what am I reaching out for? Because I was like scared, and I see this towel rolled up,
Okay.
duct
The
tape,
release process.
yes,
The release process, yeah.
And then they're like, beat the floor, and I remember looking around, and everyone's beating the floor, and I remember thinking, if I don't beat this floor, I'm not getting out of here. So I started beating the floor with the towel. I thought it was the craziest thing. That was probably the craziest thing I ever, I thought about that place. I was like, I'm really beating the floor with a towel over some issues I don't have.
Were they screaming stuff at you in your face and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We had to
Yeah.
do that to them.
Yep.
I was like, I don't know what's worse, getting screamed in the face or having to scream at someone in their face, because we had to staff the seminars. The upper levels had to staff the seminars. Once you became level 4, you had
that was like it at Spring Creek too.
And I'm like, and I didn't know you had to staff them. Like, I thought maybe these people chose to. I didn't know, like, I was eventually going to have to do that, because I was like, I'm not screaming at anybody. And then in accountability, they told me, this was so fucked up. They told me that my bangs were part of my image. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? I have bangs. I mean, it was 2001. I had bangs. Everybody had bangs in 2001. And so they made me duct tape my bangs to the top of my head to get rid of my image. And then in a process of releasing, they made me rip the duct tape out of my own hair. And I remember, I'm like, this is nuts, but I'm going to do it. Like, I remember doing a lot of stuff that I thought was absolutely crazy, but I had to do it. I think I saw someone post on Facebook the other day. They said, what corrections would you have gotten today? I'm like, not asking to speak. I think asking to speak was one of the nuttiest ones. You could not speak without asking. But Costa Rica actually got easy for me, because
what level were you when you went there, and then like how fast you were 4 when you went there? Okay, yeah. Cool. And then from there, okay, it was probably a little easier than what you were
yeah,
because you were.
We got to go out and do stuff in Costa Rica, which was really cool. My mom did come down and visit me once while I was there, and that was a lot of fun. But
you remember what you did when she came down?
We went horseback riding on the beach.
Awesome.
I thought that was a lot of fun, and we just stayed at this really cool hotel, and then I remember when my mom came to visit me in Costa Rica, it was like a little bit after that. No, it was at that 14-month. My sister was with her, and even my sister was like, you got to get her out of here. This is crazy, But I didn't, after a while in Costa Rica, I didn't want to come home. Like, my mom kept trying, like they forced me into graduation, and I didn't want to come home because I was living in paradise. The rules didn't really apply to me at a point, because one of the staff members was a pervert and he liked me, so the rules didn't apply to me, and I pretty much got away with whatever I wanted. But it's funny, because at the time I was like, oh, just doing what I was supposed to do, but looking back, I'm like, this was really, really fucked up.
Oh, go ahead.
And then I left, and 2 months after I left, I guess what happened was, there had been rumors about what was going on with the kids there. And so
what kind of rumors?
Like the hog tying and the mental and physical abuse. They were physically, I never saw it, but I heard kids getting beaten.
Okay.
And it was by the Jamaicans.
Okay.
I knew it was them. And so the Costa Rican government basically came in and said, you're in our country. You don't have to listen to these people, which was a terrible idea to do with a bunch of troubled kids. but they rioted and they tore the place up, and it was bad. I mean, there was kids that were missing in that country for a while. It was really bad. But I mean, like, I could see that. These people were treated very, very poorly. I not so much in Costa Rica, but a lot of them were.
Looking back on like when you look back on wanting to stay there now, do you feel like it was more of them having successfully brainwashed you in a way, or did you really like inside like truly want to stay there because you just liked it there?
I think it was brainwashing, and I think it was a lot of grooming too. Like the staff member from Jamaica that came there, I actually continued to talk to him after I left.
Okay.
And I met up with him in Jamaica later. Yeah. And like, it wasn't till like recent years that someone was like, I mean, he was 12 years older than me.
Yeah, that's not normal.
Yeah. That someone was like, none of that was normal. But at the time I was 14, 15 years old. I just thought at that point I'd been treated so badly for so long that I would have done anything for a little bit of wiggle room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It like at one point I dropped levels and went down to like a level 2 because they asked me to be the receptionist because the receptionist got like pink eye or something and couldn't come in. I was like, I'm not doing that. It's not my job. I'm here to go to school. And they gave me a refusal. And like I had to sit in this extremely hot box for like hours. And I just went to that one staff member that had a little crush on me and was like, you need to take this off. I don't want to be level 3 anymore. And he did. So, you know, I think it has a lot to do with brainwashing, grooming, things like that, because, you know, you would have done, at that point, you would have done anything for a little bit of freedom. I mean, that's just how it was, you know? They had us in, oh my God, one of the reasons I didn't want to be level 3 in Costa Rica is because we had to wear plaid skirts, white shirts with a tie, and some penny loafers in Costa Rica, and it was hot. It was not comfortable at all. And it was humiliating, really.
Yeah.
The outfits you wore at level 1 and level 2 in Costa Rica were, you had one t-shirt, one pair of shorts, one sweatshirt, and one pair of sweatpants. And they were either bright yellow or bright orange. So that if you ran away, and you couldn't wear sneakers till level 3. At level 3, you got a phone call, a watch, and some sneakers. That's what you got at level 3. You couldn't shave your legs. I remember, you know, having leg hair, you know, and with 13, you're shaving at that point, and you had to have your pants two fingers from your belly button.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, you had to eat 50% of everything that was on your plate. I remember gagging at, like, still to this day, I cannot eat beets. They're nasty. But we had beets one day, and thank God it was the only day we ever had them. But they were like yelling at me, like, you have to eat 50% of that. I'm like, I'll eat 100% of this thing and they're like, no, you had to eat 50. If you had potatoes, meat, and corn, you had to eat 50% of potatoes, 50% of meat, 50% of corn. And you know what I didn't like about the program was that like everybody was in there for a different reason, but you had to adhere to everything. So some people were in there for bulimia. So everyone has to eat 50% of everything that's on their plate, even though that's not necessarily what's good for you.
Yeah.
The reflections at the end of the day, I have a hard time listening to. Who's that guy? He's a famous, oh God, I can't remember his name. He's a famous, like, speaker, and I have a hard time hearing him, like, his little speeches, because we had to listen to them during dinner and like write down everything we learned that day or something like that.
I used to call that educational video time.
Yeah.
At fucking Spring Creek.
And then my husband makes fun of me because you know that song that would come on when you go into the seminar? It was like,
what, 2001: A Space Odyssey, or?
Yes, I think that's that one. Like, I can't listen to it. It stresses me out.
One where you have to be seated by the time. Yeah, that's 2001: A Space Odyssey, bro.
Yes, like even at 35, like this happened to me 20 years ago, And like even to
It's
this
fucked
day,
up. That's a good song too. That's not a bad song.
it's not a
And then
bad
the
song,
fucking
but
program fucked it up, man.
yeah,
Program fucked it up.
I think it's a lot of. I think I didn't really experience physical abuse, but I think like to this day, there's you know, unfortunately, you know, about 5, 6 years ago, I started struggling with no, like 10 years ago, started struggling with drugs, alcohol, stuff like that. And a lot of people tell you I've been sober for 5 years now, but a
Yeah.
lot of people tell you that you do that because of trauma.
Yeah.
And honestly, I can pinpoint when my life changed, and it was when I went to that program. Like
Yeah.
my mom, I bring it up to my mom still to this day, and she starts crying and like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And she went into debt. She filed for bankruptcy after that. She was $72,000 in debt because of that place, and she had to file for bankruptcy. I don't know how anybody. I don't know how. And I was from Walpole, New Hampshire. Okay, everybody was from like Atlanta, Georgia, like Florida, all these crazy big
Yeah.
cities, and they're like, they'd go around and say, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "I'm from New Hampshire," and the kids would be like, "What state's that in?" I'm like, "It is one," like nobody was from New Hampshire, nobody was from like a small town. Everybody was like, I was scared of some of the kids. One girl came in, I was 14 at the time. This was in Costa Rica. She come in, she was 14 years old, and she was a bad kid, like you could tell she's been through it. And I was like, she was telling me how she's killed people before. And I'm like, what? Like
Yeah.
I'm here with like real like badasses. And I'm over here
Yeah.
like 13 years old, that never even touched a cigarette before. I
Yeah.
didn't know. I was a little scared sometimes.
Yeah. It can be a lot. It can be a lot to take in.
Yeah.
Uh, how long after you got to the place in the first place you went did it take for everything to sink in and for you to actually realize that you were in for probably a long, long run?
I think 3 months is when I stopped crying. It
Okay.
was 3 months straight that I would wake up crying, and about like the fourth month I was like, because I went like it was like a week after I got there, Discovery came in, so they put me in this, and then I immediately got kicked out because they were like, "You're not ready." And um and so like about the third or fourth month they had come back, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm really doing this. Like I have to go back to this seminar. I have to get through this like at that point I had people telling me like, "You're not leaving until you do this." And so, and it's funny because like that's what they would always say, "You're not ready. I don't think you're ready." Like when the upper levels would staff them, they would give you feedback during the seminar, and they'd start saying, and when they said you're not ready, the fear of God would be putting me like, "Oh fuck, no, I'm ready. I'm ready. I swear I'm ready." Because you wanted to pass it, because you wanted to get out of there. And like to this day, when people are like tell me I'm not ready, I'm like, no, I'm ready. I can do this. And it
Yeah.
scares me because that was like they were your ticket.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. They're your ticket to being able to progress or not.
Yeah. And it's frustrating too because like nobody really knows if you're ready or not. You're really the only person who knows if you're ready for anything or not. But you had other people dictating that for you. And that was really, really, that was another mind fuck that really fucked me up, really, was because it was someone else telling me what I can and cannot feel, the issues that I have. Like someone was telling me, like, what are your issues? I'm like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they told me I wasn't ready, because I was like, I don't know what my issues are. I'm 13, dude. I don't know what my issues are.
Yeah.
Like,
For
I was
real.
playing Barbies like a year ago. So I don't know. It
Did
was
you
crazy.
hear? Uh, did you hear about any runners from either facility, or did you see any runners?
Yeah. Yeah, there was one time in South Carolina where the alarms, it sounds like a tornado siren, to be honest with you. And we all had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And sure enough, there was a girl missing. They found her and they brought her back. And I mean, we didn't see her for a while. So she was either getting her ass beat or in solitary somewhere or in worksheets, but we didn't see her for a while, so it was pretty. We were like, not gonna do that, you know. And all in the one thing that I noticed about the 2 locations that I went to, they were all very secluded. So if you were gonna run, you were running for a while.
Yeah.
They weren't like next to a town.
Yeah.
They're way out there.
Well, even Spring Creek is 30 miles to the nearest town, and the nearest town is all pretty much works at the fucking facility.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, like you're more likely to get eaten by a bear. Like,
Yeah.
straight up. Like, or
And
or just
Costa Rica, I don't think anybody really wanted to run. I mean, there was one girl there who was Costa Rican, and her sister. I thought it was so fucked up too, because her sister was dating Narvin. Narvin lived there. Narvin Litchfield. He's the one
really?
who's like at the
Okay.
head of all this. He lived
Yeah.
there with her, like, and he was dating her sister.
Interesting.
And I was like, this is weird. Yeah. He got arrested out there. He went to the Costa Rican jail when they pretty much came in and they're like, you can't do that here. Like, this is abuse. We don't allow it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's crazy that he.
Yeah.
I did not know that he went there. That's crazy.
Yeah, he lived there. Yeah. He's still, I looked him up the other day and I was like, man, I'm surprised he's not like bankrupt at this point, because he got the shit suit out of him for all these places. I don't even know what's still running, but I know they tried to redo Dundee Ranch as Pillars of Hope, and then that just flopped. And now it's like an abandoned. I talked to the girl who was Costa Rican, who I'm still friends with her, and she said it's just an abandoned lot right now that's up for sale. But I mean, it was a nice place had it been for the good reason. It was a beautiful location, you know.
You're talking about Costa Rica?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Let's see. Anything crazy that you witnessed there? Like, what's the craziest thing you've seen somebody do there?
The craziest thing that God, it was so long ago. I'm sure there's a ton of things, but I think the craziest thing I saw there was a girl, and I remember her coming in. She had blue hair, and like back then, blue hair was like, oh, she's crazy, you know, like blue hair was crazy, and she was, Marilyn Manson, into Marilyn, like that kind of like gothic type, and she really had a hard time. And I remember one time we everybody was put somewhere because she had drank bleach.
Really? Oh,
yeah, and did not die. And we all got, and then there was one time we all got food poisoning from something that they fed us. And we had to go to the hospital, which was the first time I had ever been outside of the program. Because
did they take all of you to the hospital?
Yeah, we were all at the hospital, and there was people everywhere. I thought about running then, because like we were in a town. Obviously, we were at a hospital, but I didn't. I don't know. I was really young, so I was really scared. But I think a couple girls tried running then, and they got in trouble. But yeah, I think the girl drinking the bleach was pretty crazy. I don't know how she got a hold of bleach.
Yeah, it's crazy. I knew a few people that snorted laundry detergent and crazy shit and straight.
Yeah.
I made acid out of orange peels and toothpaste.
You did? Oh my god. Well,
stupid shit.
Yeah. I was too scared to do anything. Like I heard, like when someone got a category 3 and up, I think the one time I got a category 3 was that refusal. But like I was so scared to do anything because you wouldn't see them. They'd just be gone.
Yeah.
And then no one was talking. That was the craziest thing, is that no one was talking. Like it was just, no one talked about what went on in the seminars. And focus.
Silence. We're on code silence.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even outside of it, like nobody was like, "Hey, man, you got to beat a towel in that place." Like I thought it was crazy that they had all of the. I mean, there was a ton of girls, all of these girls, all of these guys, and no one was like you're going to have to beat a towel in there. Like, focus. You were supposed to, it was a lot about your image, which I had no idea what my image was. I had no clue. I was a 13-year-old kid from a small town. I didn't know what Hot Topic was. I'd never been to a mall before. I didn't know what anything was. I didn't have an image. So, they said that my image, no, you had to prance around as your image, right? And focus. The second day, you had to, like,
as your magical child. As your magical child.
Oh, your magical child, yes. So they teased my hair and made me sing and dance to Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, in front of everyone, and it was mortifying.
I had to dance to
You had to dance to what?
Living La Vida Loca.
Oh my God.
Martin? Yeah.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
That's what I did.
Yeah, it was like, it was just mortifying and embarrassing, and it created a lot of issues with me when I got home, because I got home when I was 15. So by the time I had gotten home, my mom had remarried and moved to a completely different town. And I just didn't know how to be and my mom didn't know how. I was from 13 to 15, I was gone. And my mom didn't know how to, my mom's only rule was, if you're not home by 10, we're going to lock the door. And that's when things really, that's when I wonder what it would have been like if I had never gone to the program, because I learned about drugs, alcohol, all that stuff. I learned about all of it in the program. Didn't even know about it before. So I wonder what it would have been like if I hadn't gone, because when I came out was when I went crazy.
Yeah.
And I ended up meeting up, my mom got married and she was going to have her honeymoon in Jamaica. So I called the guy from Costa Rica and he met up with me in Jamaica. And I was missing for 2 days at my mom's honeymoon. And it's just crazy because at that time I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think anything was wrong with what was going on. And I look back and people are like, and I always felt like the fact that I went to the boarding school was just a cool story. That's all it was. It was a cool story. It didn't do anything to me. And I tell people the story, where I went and how long I was gone. And they're like, Sarah, that's fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
That is really fucked. And I'm like, wow, that's a cool story. Yeah. I mean, but people are like, that can cause some serious issues. I did see at one point that they were suing Narvin and some of the people that started this place, because, I saw one of these girls that I went to the program with on intervention, and I was like, that poor girl is struggling,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of
I got heavy into hard drugs right when I got out of the program.
Yeah.
I never fucking touched. I was just smoking weed, drinking a little bit of alcohol, and fucking a tiny bit, every now and then. And then I was smoking cigarettes, just started smoking weed, running away from home. And I fucking had no intentions to do any fucking hard drugs before I went to boarding school, because my dad was actually a chemist. And he always used to tell me, straight up what was in everything.
Yeah.
And just, fucking grossed me out and shit.
Yeah.
And from a young age, that was instilled in me. So, I didn't learn about the drugs until I got there. And then that's what
I learned about it there.
And then they're pumping them up yo, you got to try this when you get out. It's so
Yeah.
fucking, they're pumping this shit up.
They're like, oh,
So
what
by the time I get out, I'm just like, man, fuck my parents for sending me there in the first place. I'm gonna rebel now. I want my teenage years back. And I was like, I want to be a teenager, because you didn't let me be a teenager.
Yeah, I really think that's the main thing, is that boarding school robs you of your normal. So what I got sent there for is staying in my room too much. I have a 16-year-old now, and she's in her room all the time. And I'm like, holy shit, that's just a teenager.
Yeah.
That's just a teenager. That's all it is. She was like, you're depressed and you're in your room all the time. And I'm like, now that, it comes full circle and I have a kid and she's 16, she'll be 16 at the end of this month. I'm like, I haven't seen her since she was 13, they stay in their room all the time. That's what they do. And that's what I was sent for, was staying in my room too long and being depressed. And it's like, sending me away thousands of miles away is not helping. And I don't know what they were telling my mom, but she was convinced that I had to graduate. Like, that I'm graduating this thing.
Well, they all got a script that they follow.
Yeah.
They
I
all
have
got a straight up script. Yeah.
And I don't know. And I remember reading the brochure. Oh, the brochure was, it was great. The brochure for Carolina Springs Academy was like, we have horseback ride. There was horses in a pasture that we never saw. Like, they were talking about, like, we there's an equestrian, there's none of that. And I mean, people knew that Jamaica and Mexico were high impact, and that was like military school type thing. But these other ones, they looked. I mean, I've seen Spring Creek. I've seen them all on, the little brochure. They look great.
Yeah.
They look like nice places. I mean, they had. I had a picture of it somewhere. In Costa Rica, they had, and we had asked for toilet paper too. We didn't have toilet paper in our bathrooms. We had to ask for toilet paper, and they gave us, and hopefully it was enough.
Yeah.
That was just like, well, and then if you wasn't enough, you were like in the bathroom screaming out, in Spanish, more paper towel, toilet paper, please.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And so they had 1, 2, 3. I think they had like 6, 7 rooms.
Yeah.
No doors on them, and the bunk beds were 3-tier bunk beds, and they had 3 of them in each room. And it was all open. I mean, I've gotten stung by a scorpion more than once, because they get in there. It was all open, and
That's crazy.
The bunk bed thing was crazy. It was like 9 women in a room meant for one person. Like, these were hotel rooms. And
yeah, at Spring Creek, it was 30 students on each side of these cabins, and the cabins were split in 2, and there'd be 30 students on each side.
Yeah.
30 bunks.
At one point, there was like a pink eye breakout, and we had to put like, me and one other girl were the only people in the whole place that did not get it. We had to put mattresses all over the floor, just line the floor, and just lock them in a room by themselves. And then in South Carolina, we had like a lice outbreak. Everyone got lice. And you can imagine when the kids are that compact with each other, how quickly that spreads.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Did you guys have to deep clean on Sundays?
Yes. We had to deep clean on Sundays. And then we had like, I don't know. I think one of the most mortifying thing was having everyone have to stand up for you to go to the next level. And it's like, you put women, a bunch of girls, prepubescent girls, in a dorm that closely together, and they're all gonna just root for each other. No, they're gonna hate each other.
Yeah, if you're friends with everybody, that's the only way that it works.
Yeah, and you couldn't be friends with everybody. There's no way you're gonna get put in that small of a space with.
That's why nobody ever really got level 6. I got level 5 and graduated.
I was like given level 6. They're like, you're going home, you're graduating, you got to get out. And thank God I did, because I heard that there were people getting sexually assaulted. I mean, there was kids sexually assaulted.
What did you hear about that? Like, what did you hear specifically?
That, like, so basically the government came in and were like, look, you're in our country now. You don't have to listen to these people.
Yeah.
They cannot tell you what to do. And they just went nuts. I mean, like, I saw the pictures afterwards. They like tore the place apart completely. But, there was kids that were running because these are actual troubled teens. Not all of them were bad, but all of them had some sort of issue one way or another.
And then there's the court-ordered ones. There's people that actually were court-ordered to go there.
Yeah, so there's people who have done bad stuff.
Yeah.
No, that's not, it wasn't as common, but it's there. So there were kids that were running because they were being physically and sexually abused by other kids. And so they were like, I mean, and the next town is not very close.
Yeah.
So they had to shut it down because of that. So I mean, thank God they forced me to graduate because I was 2 months shy of that when I left. I was there from 2000 to 2002.
So you did graduate the program though?
Yeah, I went out to San Diego and did the parent-child seminars and all that stuff, and we had the return to home plan or whatever it was,
Yep.
like all these
The
little
life
things.
contract? Life
Yeah,
contract? Yep.
yes.
Yeah, they
We
made me
never
do
did
that
it.
too.
Me and my mom was like, I don't.
Lasted a week for me. And I was like,
Yeah.
man, fuck you people. Man, fuck you guys.
Well, they wanted you to go up in levels at home.
Well, yeah, it's just a program for home.
Yeah.
It's just fucking another program.
My mom didn't really. She was just like, and my stepdad, like she had remarried and moved towns, and my stepdad was like, "What the fuck is this shit? This is crazy." Like even he was like, "This is nuts." Like we're not
Did
gonna.
they make you class your friends out like A friends, B friends, C friends, like and then F friends, which you just never
I'm
hang
like,
out
it's
with?
been 2 years. I have no friends. Like
Yeah,
they're gone.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Did you do Trail of Lights ceremony? Like when you graduated there, did they have any like ceremony that they did for people that left or graduated the program?
No, it
Okay.
was really really hush. Like every time someone left, whether they got pulled or graduated, it was like they were there and then they were gone. I mean, obviously, if someone's level
So there
5
was
or
no like
whatever.
celebration ever for people that graduated? Okay.
Mm-mm.
They did that at Spring Creek. It's curious they didn't do it there. Um, that might have just been a Spring Creek thing because I've been hearing
It
like
might have been a me thing. I don't know, but it was. But I was pushing. I was. I had did. I went to. I went home one time, and I remember going home. I was level 5, and I got to do a home visit, and I went home, and I remember my dad, my real dad. He was like, "I don't know what the fuck your mom was thinking. Like, I don't know why you're there. Like, and then I had to come back, and I remember, you want to talk about a mind fuck? It was fucked up. So the staff member, the particular staff member, had a crush on me. He's like, "You're not gonna come back." I go, "I have to come back. I don't, I don't know why I wouldn't come back. I have to. Like, it's not up to me. I'm
yeah.
underage." So he gave me his watch in order to like. He's like, "I love that watch, so you have to come back now." Like he gave me his watch to wear so that I would come back because it was his favorite watch. And I'm like, yeah. And even the mom, the family mom that I had, she was one of the Jamaicans too. And even she was like telling my mom, she's like, this relationship between these two is weird. It's not okay. And it's very inappropriate. And even my mom was like hearing that shit. I'm like, if that
Did
was
you feel like when it was happening to you, like did you feel violated, like, or was
no,
it more like
I felt like I was special, like I was, above the law, really. Like, here's this guy, he's way up here, and he favors me.
yeah.
And so I really, like, I felt like I was special. I remember his brother was there too. And he was one of the staff members. And I remember telling his brother that, like, in 10 years, I would still be talking to him. I'm never going to forget him. I mean, like, I was a 14-year-old, very impressionable kid, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I didn't feel like that. And I never felt like that. Like, I consensually went off the resort that we were staying at in Jamaica and left with him. Like, I didn't feel like I was getting. But then when I talk about it as an adult, people are like, "That's not okay. That's grooming. That's what that is." Like you
Well, yeah,
hear
it's
about.
grooming. It's grooming, definitely. I'm just glad that you didn't feel like he was doing it. He was doing it. He was obviously grooming
Yeah,
you. Not looking back at it, but I'm just glad that you didn't feel violated
yeah.
in the moment. You know what I mean?
There was a lot of things that I got on board with. Like obviously, I staffed the seminars. I screamed at the kids when they beat the stuff, and like at one point, and it was probably around level 4, like I thought I was doing the right thing. Like you, I mean, the people who move up in 9 months and graduate in 9 months are, I think they're the ones that are fucked up in the head. Because if you don't do a little pushback in the, like, whoa, 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 what is all this crazy stuff? Then I feel like there's something wrong with you. because like I didn't get on board
Or
for
you're just super, well, some people, in my opinion, are just easily manipulated and easily, it's just really easy to like lead certain people.
Yeah.
Like there's certain people that I even know in my personal life, you're not really associated with them, but that I could say, hey, look over there, there's a shooting star, and they'll look every time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Without
Yeah.
even thinking about it. But there's a lot of people that are just led really easily. And so for people like that, I think the program is just sinks its claws in right away for those kind of people.
So with level 1 to level 2, it was a point system. So basically you had to not get corrections to get to level 2. But level 2 to level 3 is a vote up process. And it took me 7 months to get there. So
did they start you on level 2 when you got there?
No, 1.
Okay. Interesting.
It was 1, and then you just had to get like, I think it was like 200 points. You had to get like 200 points and you were level 2. Like you didn't have to go through any sort of process. And then to get to level 3, you had to like actually be voted up by your peers. And so I could never get voted up. And one of the reasons I could never get voted up because everybody thought I was lying. When I would be like, no, I've never done drugs. I've never drank alcohol. I've never had sex. I've never smoked a cigarette. And people are like, we think you're just holding back. And I'm like, over here, like, what the fuck? Do I have to lie? Do I have to like make up? Like, I thought that it was going to be to a point where I was going to have to make up some shit in order to level up to get out of there because no one would believe me.
Well, that's where the mind control comes in, because if you literally, in my opinion, that's where the complete mind control comes in, really, is that if you really haven't been through anything, right?
Yeah.
Even if they haven't been through anything, if they feel pressured enough to say they've been through said thing, they say that they've been through that thing enough, they're going to start to believe it about themselves, regardless of if it's true or not.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the mind control comes in.
Yeah. By level 4, by 12 months, a year in, I did think I had issues.
Yeah, of course.
And I was like, I got these issues. I got to work on them. Oh my God, I'm so fucked up. Blah, 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 blah. But I probably had issues because I was going through this. You know, like I do have issues now because I just beat a floor, you know? Like, of course I have issues now. And so that was part of the reason why I couldn't get leveled up is because people are like, and I'm being told by like 16, 17, and it didn't matter if you were level 1, you were level 6, you were the biggest bitch, or you were the nicest person, you got to vote. So I'm being held back by people who could have came in yesterday and said, I feel like you're being dishonest. They could have came in yesterday and they could still vote. And it's like, I feel like even if they were going to do that process, that should have been done by adults. That should not have been dictated by a bunch of children.
Well, it's not supposed to be fair either. They're not trying, you know what I mean? Like, none of it's supposed to be fair. And they don't give a fuck, you know?
Yeah.
Really, in the long run. I mean, there were some people I know that did have their heart in it, but I know in the long run that it's just about controlling people and mind control. And
I think some of the staff really did believe that they were like making a difference. And, you know, I think that the ones that didn't last very long realized what was going on. But I think some of the staff really believed that they were, you know, helping these troubled teens, you know? I mean,
what did you see that made you believe that? Just like your personal, like, what did you see some staff do? Just because I like to hear stuff like this.
Some of them, I can't remember her name, but I can like picture her in my head, and she had red hair and she was a bigger lady, and like some of the ridiculous categories she just wouldn't do. She's like, that's ridiculous. Like talking out of turn.
Yeah.
Like human beings. She's like, I'm not doing that. And she didn't last very long. She wasn't there the whole time I was there. You know, I think that she was there to help people, and she always would listen. Like no matter how, like she'd been working all day long. It'd be the middle of the night, and she'd listen to you when you want to talk. And sometimes I just wanted to talk to a staff because that was the only person I was allowed to talk to.
Yeah.
You know? And so it was nice to just be able to talk.
Yeah.
And I think that some of them really did feel like, or even went into it and then quit soon after.
Yeah.
But some of them felt like they were really doing some good.
For
I
sure.
really liked my family mom in Costa Rica, the Jamaican. She was a really sweet lady, and she even saw like I think she was in a bad position because she didn't want to rat out her coworker because she had been working with him for a long time because she had worked with him in Jamaica and now in Costa Rica. But she also wanted to. She was the one who pushed me to graduate. I think she wanted to get me away from him. I
Yeah.
think that's really why she pushed me because she was like, "This has got to end, and I don't want to rat anybody out, and I don't want to like stir the pot, but you got to get out of here. You've been level 5 for like 6 months. Get out of here, you know." And she was like, "I wouldn't stand up to go to the next level," and she made me do it. And then of course everybody stood up. I don't know if she had like an influence in it, but so I do think that she really had her heart in it, but she didn't. I mean, it's hard when you're in that position. That's your job, and you don't want to lose your job over, you know.
Yeah, and they pay really well. These places really do pay. From what I've heard, they pay fucking really fucking well.
Well, I mean, they make enough
Too
money.
good. Too good.
Yeah,
From what I hear.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so probably, when the Costa Ricans were, I mean, they don't get paid much anyways in those countries. So when they were offered a decent salary, you know, I remember when I first got there, they were so frustrated because they couldn't understand us, we couldn't understand them. They're just cleaners. That's all they were. They were hotel cleaners, and they were just, you could see the frustration in their eyes like every day. But I'm sure jobs are probably hard to come by there. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they probably just dealt with it because of that. But yeah.
All right. Um, let's see. Anything else you want to add to your story or want people to know about your time there at either of the places?
Don't ever send your kids there. I don't know if they're still running or if anything alike them are running, but I mean, it's really just not worth it. It's not worth it.
For sure. And I always say this to people: if you forgot something or want to write down some stuff you forgot, we can always do part 2 as
Okay.
well. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. It was awesome to hear about your story. Enlightening.
Yeah. And I appreciate what you're doing. I've always really been a big fan of like the, Facebook page and survivors and stuff like that because it honestly, I will say hearing other people's stories, like I heard a guy you had on a couple weeks ago and he said, I've got sent for depression. It makes when you feel like you're not the only one, it really does help when you feel like you're not the only one who went through this crazy shit. So
Yeah, for sure.
you're doing as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope it continues to build, and I hope we continue to, because the big goal in this is to educate as many people as I can fucking possibly can. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to get this to reach as far as possible. So that's what I'm working on right now. But
Absolutely.
for sure. So yeah. Anyways, thanks so much for coming on and sharing your story. And if you ever want to do part 2, we can do that. You
All
have a
right.
wonderful night.
All right, you too.
Bye.